Welcome to Book Bites, brought to you by Spines, where today we're biting into From the Cottonfields of Georgia to Veterinary Medical History, written by Dr. William T. Watson. My guest today grew up with a dog named Don who could apparently stop any dog in the neighborhood dead in its tracks just by growling, and a chicken named Henry who became Henrietta and quite possibly eventually Dinner. He grew up in a town split and segregated by railroad tracks, picked cotton every summer, and never once saw a black veterinarian in his life. Regardless, he decided to become one. Dr. Watson, welcome to Book Bites.
Thank you.
First, can you tell me about Don, and then tell me about the boy who eventually decided to take on a career that would shape his life?
Yes, and thanks for having me.
Of course.
Don was given to me as a birthday gift on my 4th birthday. And we lived on a corner. The school was, you turned the corner and the school was down about 3 blocks from where I lived. And there were many people living along that route and on the same street that we lived on. Don was a mongrel in every sense of the word. He probably had a little of everything. I think he looked more like a hound than anything else, but he was definitely not a hound. He was about 18 inches high, small for dogs, but he ruled that corner. And dogs are very territorial. They like to control their space. But every dog, and some of them were huge dogs, German Shepherds, hounds, really just huge dogs. But the moment they turned that corner, he would go out and challenge them. And what they would do is, they would just lay down and he would circle them, smell them and all of that. And then he'd walk away and they'd get up and go on where they were going. So he was kind of the policeman. And Don lived to be 13 years old. And of course, he was quite a loss when he passed. But
Of course.
In fact, when he passed, he had no teeth left.
Wow.
So the dogs didn't know that even if he bit them, he couldn't hurt them because he had no teeth.
Right.
But of course, he did bring great joy to me. Now, he was an outside dog. My folks did not allow any pets inside. Besides Don, I did have cats and frogs and other
and chickens.
and chickens. Yeah, my chicken was an Easter gift, and back in that time they would dye the eggs, and whatever color the egg was dyed, that's the color the baby feathers would come out. So Henry was a yellow baby chick that grew up to be Henrietta, as you mentioned.
Yeah.
It's found out later it was not a he, but a she.
Right.
And Henrietta act really like a dog. When I would come home from school and sit out in front of the store, which, by the way, the people that raised me, my great uncle, who was my grandfather's brother and sister, Amanda, had a store, a variety store. So I would sit out in front of the store, and she would come and jump in my lap right after school. And, I would rub her, and she was really a beautiful pet. And one day, several weeks later, I could not find Henrietta. And of course, my aunt, we raised chickens too, by the way. My uncle, who had about 100 chickens in the flock for our use and for selling in the store. So evidently there was a hole in the fence that allowed Henrietta to mingle with the other chicks. And as it was a white leghorn, so she blended in pretty well with the other chicks. I couldn't find a short story. I asked my aunt about it, and she did a little special look that told me something was not right.
Uh-huh.
Turns
Uh-oh.
out that I think we had Henrietta for Sunday morning breakfast one time.
Wow.
And of course, I was upset with them for several months. I
Hmm.
finally forgave them, by the way. So, but I did miss Henrietta. I miss
I'm
being
sure.
greeted by her.
Yeah.
As far as becoming a veterinarian, I've always had pets, and everybody veterinarian would tell you, "Oh, I love pets." Well, that's true, and I had a bunch of them, as I mentioned. Besides the dogs and cats, I had
Hmm.
frogs, I had lizards, and of course the chicken. And I never actually took an animal to a veterinarian because the only veterinarian that I had seen in my community was the white veterinarian that came around once a year to vaccinate the dogs for rabies.
Hmm.
And of course, Don was the smart one in the group. Excuse me. After the first uh, vaccination, I guess he figured out he must have had a calendar or something because he would
Yeah.
disappear the day before the veterinarian came around and
Wow.
show up 2 or 3 days later. So I
Hmm.
would have to end up taking him up to the uh, when they had the public vaccination clinics. But that was the only veterinarian I'd seen during my uh, childhood and teenage growing up time. Now, there was a young man in my hometown, actually, his brother and I were in the same high school class and were very, very close, Icky. Uh, in my little hometown, we ended up, no matter the age group, we had certain groups that we hung out with, so to speak. And that could be anywhere from 12 years old to 17 years old.
Hmm.
So my friend's brother was in veterinary school, and I would talk to him when he would come home for holidays and during the summer. He also picked cotton, by the way,
Oh, wow.
when he came home from college, because that's all we could do during the summer.
Hmm.
Anyway, he talked to me about becoming a veterinarian, and I had no clue as what a veterinarian do. I was thinking they only treat dogs and cats and maybe horses. So that was my first exposure to even thinking about a veterinarian. But again, he was not a veterinarian, and I'd never seen a black veterinarian until I went to college. So at my high school graduation, uh, there was my commencement speaker was the president of Morehouse College. And Morehouse was known at that time for doing having a good pre-medicine program.
Hmm.
So I spoke with him about that, and he encouraged me to apply to Morehouse. And my principal was a graduate of Fort Valley State, where they had a pre-vet program,
Hmm.
pre-veterinary medicine. So I decided at the last minute that I would go to veterinary school. So I went to Fort Valley State undergraduate for my pre-veterinary medical career. So that's really how I got started. Without knowing anything about veterinarians and without knowing anything about, I never seen a veterinarian that looked like me.
Hmm.
I decided to do that, and there were very few black veterinarians at that time. So that's basically how I ended up in veterinary medicine.
So after studying veterinary medicine, you eventually wound up in Thailand and even before that, Vietnam. Do you want to talk about maybe how that transition happened?
I guess I should indicate that when I was thinking about attending college, I had to figure out how I was going to be supported.
Hmm.
Uh, my uncle at that time, I left him and went to live with my father. Both, I think, I learned later was capable of doing it, but nobody was really stepping up to the plate. So my principal was aware of a program in the state of Georgia with the State Rehabilitation Agency. And while I was in high school and singing in the high school chorus, sometimes when I had solos, I would pass out.
Oh, wow.
And I would end up looking at the sky.
Wow.
Anyway, he saw this as an opportunity to maybe get a scholarship. So the headquarters was in Atlanta, and I went there for a couple of days. They did a lot of tests and basically didn't find any real organic stuff. But bottom line, I ended up with a 4-year tuition scholarship and book scholarship. So as I mentioned earlier, I went to Fort Valley State for my undergraduate pre-veterinary medicine. So they paid for the 2 years of tuition and for books at that point. And of course, veterinary school is 4 years, and Tuskegee University was the only veterinary school located at a historically black college.
Right.
Frankly, it was the only one I was going to be able to get in. University of Georgia was not interested. They had a veterinary school. So Georgia actually paid me to go to Tuskegee. So during my 4 years there, beginning of the third year, I kind of ran out of money because my scholarship ended after my second year of veterinary school. So the Army had a new program. They called it the Early Commissioning Program, and veterinarians could participate. You could join the military while you're in college. They would put you in the reserves, and when you graduated, you would go on active duty and serve for 4 years.
But you'd be commissioned,
and
right,
that's what
as
I
an
did.
officer? Yes.
Yeah, I was commissioned in my third year of vet school as a second lieutenant. I wasn't a veterinarian, so it wasn't in the veterinary corps. It was the medical service corps. And normally they put you in an inactive reserve so that you don't have to worry about going to training and all of that stuff. But I requested to be placed in a ready reserve unit, which meant I would go at that time twice a month, 2 weekends a month for training, and spend 2 weeks in the summer on active duty.
Wow.
And while I would go during the month, those bi-weekly, I would get paid a little money, and that helped get me through school.
Yeah.
So I was basically obligated to the military once I graduated from veterinary school. So before I got to either Vietnam or Thailand, I went through a series of training, which is outlined in the book there. And my duty station was at Walter Reed Army Medical Center, really at the Walter Reed Army Institute of Research. And of course, I found out later I was the first African-American veterinarian to be assigned to Walter Reed Army Institute of Research. So after 2 years, I did such a good job that they thought maybe I should go to Vietnam.
Oh, wow. Heck of a way to say thank you.
Yeah, I know. They smell it as, well, you get that behind your belt. It's good for promotions. And it was quite an experience. And again, I think individuals reading the book will get some of the fun things that I found in Vietnam. And of course, we were always at risk. It was not like World War II where there was a front line and all of that stuff. It was a guerrilla warfare where people were everywhere. So after the year there, I came back to the States, went through another advanced training program for military officers. And that's when I went to graduate school. The Army had selected me for long-term training before I went to Vietnam. So I went to The Ohio State University for my specialty training in laboratory animal medicine.
Nice.
From there, of course, I came back to another duty station at Edgewood in Maryland. And from there, I went to Thailand for a 2-year assignment. Thailand was very good. People were very friendly. I was at this CETO Medical Research Lab, which was the Southeast Asia Treaty Organization Medical Research Lab that operated under Walter Reed. So I spent 2 years there with my family, and we enjoyed it. And from there, I made a switch from the U.S. Army Veterinary Corps to the U.S. Public Health Service Commission Corps. And the reason was, one, it was an immediate promotion. I was a major in the Army at that time. And they used Navy rank in the Public Health Service, so I was promoted to a lieutenant commander once I made the switch. And I ended up spending the next 12 years at the National Institutes of Health. I eventually made 06, which is the equivalent of full colonel, upon which I retired.
And you eventually made your way back to Tuskegee, right?
Yes, but after I spent 11 years at the Massachusetts General Hospital in Boston as the director of the animal resource program there. So when I retired from the military in 88, I went to Boston, stayed 11 years, and Tuskegee, as many people are aware, was the subject of the syphilis study that was funded by the U.S. Public Health Service. Started in the 30s, maybe 40s, but did not end until 1971. Now, the students were not aware of what was going on there. The bottom line is that President Clinton issued a pardon and provided funding and a pathway for the establishment of a bioethics center at Tuskegee University to deal with issues such as that, so that hopefully that will never happen again. And I was asked to come down as a part of the bioethics center and to serve on the faculty at the College of Veterinary Medicine.
Wow.
So I was associate professor at the college and a staff member of the bioethics center, where myself and a colleague, Dr. Smith, Sharon Smith, actually instituted a bioethics program for veterinary students. And so I spent almost 3 years at Tuskegee, and then, of course, 9/11 came about, and I was commuting between Tuskegee and my newly built home in Silver Spring, Maryland. So it got to be such a hassle that I decided I need to get back to Maryland. So I did return to NIH again, but this time as a civilian and on the extramural side. I was on the intramural where the people on campus were doing research at Bethesda. The second venture with NIH was as a grants manager, grants administrator. But initially I came to work with the contractor to establish a chimpanzee retirement center. And that was set up for chimpanzees that had been used in government sponsored research that was no longer needed. Obviously, you don't put chimpanzees to sleep. It was the decision was made that that would not happen. So the government partnered with a private contractor to establish a sanctuary, which is located near Shreveport, Louisiana, where all of these chimps that were no longer used for research could go there and live out their lives. They are chimpanzees. They are 60 years old. So they really had a good thing. They had free medical care. They had psychological care. They had free room and board. And I was hoping that I could get something like that when I retired, but it didn't happen.
Instead, you decided to write a book.
Yes, that was quite a decision. To give you a little history on that, several of my friends had asked, why don't you write a book after I tell them some of the stories that's in the book? And of course, my purpose initially was really to just document it as history for my family and a legacy for my family. But as time went on, my colleagues and friends would say, look, you got a story to tell. You should do it. I said, I don't have time to write a story. I am not interested in doing a story right. One of the things I disliked, but had to do it, was writing. So, but during COVID, when you had absolutely nothing to do, and my wife and I survived that, it was quite a test because you're around each other 24/7, 365. But we had a strong relationship. So I thought that was a good time to try to do something. I have a first cousin, Tony Hall, who has done 3 history books on the family. So he was into this. I mean, he loves it. So I contacted him. He lives in Georgia, and of course I'm in Maryland. And he agreed to help me with this book. And that's how I got started, because if I had to do it on my own, it probably never would have happened. But the fact that he had experience and he could help me along. So we actually did about 18 Zooms during this time, and I'd say average about an hour and a half each, which he would basically say, tell your story, and then he would interject certain things, and I would just talk like we're doing now. And it was amazing because I remember things that I thought I'd forgotten.
Amazing how the memory works.
And right, and of course he would coax me to go further detail and so forth. So that started in 2021. Okay. So we got the Zooms recorded, and of course they have programs to transcribe those. But I tell you, the transcription is just as you present it, and I found out there were some words that I used a lot, such as so, S-O, and just listening to that, and there was a lot of editing, let me just say
Editing is all part of it.
Yeah.
Dr. Watson, we're so happy that you did write this story, though, because it's such a moving story and such a journey, as the title says,
And let me just say the part about the veterinary medical history. When I graduated from veterinary school, I had no clue what laboratory animal medicine was about. It only been established as a specialty for a few years. In 1957 was when the American Veterinary Medical Association recognized it as a specialty of veterinary medicine. So at Walter Reed, that was what I was doing. I was working with the research animals. Walter Reed had the Institute of Research had a large animal research program. So that's where I got my start and got encouraged. And it talks about my journey in doing that, going to graduate school, getting the further experience, and then taking the certifying exam, board certifying exam, to become the first African-American board certified in laboratory animal medicine in that specialty. Now, myself and a colleague, Dr. Theopolis Peace, took the boards at the same time. We both passed. But at that time, because we had identical paths, he went to graduate school same time I did. We were stationed, same station before taking the exam. We took the exam at the same time. So we decided that we were both going to be the first, not one of the first. Because the paths were identical. And he passed at the turn of the century. But about a year ago, I decided to just query ChatGPT. And the question was, is it possible for more than one individual to be the first? And it came back, yes. And it did the same thing that I said. As long as your paths are pretty much identical, and ours were, both can be considered the first, not one of the first. So he was the first and I was the first. Unfortunately, as I said, he passed in the turn of the century.
Well, you're honoring his legacy by mentioning him here, and I'm sure, in the book as well.
So that's the veterinary medical history part of it.
Dr. Watson, thank you so much for joining us at Book Bites from Spines. You can locate From the Cottonfields of Georgia to Veterinary Medical History on Amazon. I've been your host, Omri Rose. And if you want to hear extended interviews, some guests join us on Book Bites Deep Dive. Until next time, follow Book Bites, leave a review, and happy reading. Thanks for joining us, Dr. Watson.